Here's a tutorial to help you if you have any questions about your poetry constructed response for September 20th. In order to properly answer your constructed response, you should make sure that you've read through the 3 poems we've done in class this week: Richard Cory, Eleanor Rigby, and I Cry by Tupac. If you don't have these, there is a link to all 3 poems in the constructed response on Friday's lesson. Or you can pause this recording and read through the poems. The focus of your constructed response is the theme of the poems. And so to recap, theme is the moral of the story, the message or the lesson that the writer is trying to convey to the reader. Some common themes that we see in literature and movies are: be careful what you wish for, honesty is the best policy, crime doesn't pay, we're all the same on the inside, money cannot buy happiness, love conquers all, and don't judge a book by its cover. These are just a few of the hundreds of common themes that we see in different stories and movies and poems. So to get started for your prompt, you should ask yourself, what similarities do you see between the themes in these 3 poems? In other words, what life lessons can you learn from these poems? Again, if you missed class this week, you can go back and watch the recordings because we spent a lot of time picking apart and analyzing the characters in these 3 poems. To start your constructed response, make sure you have pulled up your lesson from Friday the 20th. You can find it in your course plan. You can find it in your course agenda. The green part gives you a link directly to the lesson. And in the lesson, it gives you the prompt. It says, answer the prompt below by writing a complete paragraph, organizing your ideas using race. Be sure to use 2 pieces of textual evidence from the poems for your Cite Explain portion. So the prompt says, choose 2 of the 3 poems from this week to compare. What is one common theme present in both poems? And how is that theme expressed through the descriptions and actions of the characters in the poems? And then I gave some tips. When you write your response, remember that a theme is the lesson or moral of the poem. In other words, what is a lesson that readers can learn from the poems? A theme is not one word, so do not say that the theme is loneliness. The word loneliness is not a lesson. When thinking of theme, consider what is a life lesson we can learn from what happened in the poems and use to relate to our own lives. Also remember that theme is not the plot. Don't just restate what happened in each poem. You're being asked to identify a common theme or moral of the story in the poems. 2 reminders is it's best practice to type your paragraph response into a Word document so you can utilize the spelling and grammar checkers before you submit. Once you have your response typed up, copy and paste it into the constructed response quiz response box. And then if you'd like to pause at this part for the sentence starters, this might be helpful to you on how to organize your paragraph. For the restate and answer portion, you could say something like this. One theme in both Eleanor Rigby and I Cry is, and then explain one theme that's present in both poems. Remember, you only have to choose 2 of the 3 poems. You don't have to analyze all 3 together. So it's your choice which 2 of these 3 poems you'd like to analyze together. Then for the citation portion, give textual evidence from one poem. For example, in Eleanor Rigby, it describes Eleanor as. This shows, and you fill in the blank, that's your explanation. For your second citation, because you always need 2, you could take an example from the second poem. For example, in I Cry, Tupac states, and then you have to explain it. This shows, And that's your RACE. And you can even wrap it up with a nice bow at the end saying something like, both poems teach the reader that, and restate the theme again. Feel free to use those sentence starters or come up with some of your own. Some theme suggestions that you can feel free to use. You could say one theme is we're all the same on the inside. Another theme you could use is money cannot buy happiness. Another example might be don't judge a book by its cover. Or you could come up with a different theme. Those are some options to choose from. If you have any questions, please contact me. I'm always here to help. My phone number, you can either call me or text me, and my email's on the board as well. Make sure you get your constructive response submitted by copying and pasting your response into the quiz text box. Thanks.